Well, it happened. We reached 10 million views. Every once in a while, we would lose 800,000 views on our total count. But we posted a warning about that, sent a notice to Google, and it seems like our total counts on the channel are more accurate than they were. But shortly after reaching 10 million, we went to 11 million. So to commemorate this, we had to kind of bring up to speed some of the people that are newer to the channel and give our gratitudes and thanks to the people who have been standing by us for all these years. We were the first channel to point out how the Northern Hemisphere vortices were now so big and so strong. They were drawing water from the Southern Hemisphere. And these huge rivers that are all over the Northern Hemisphere are just arms to a spiral that is a vortex that used to be our jet stream. And today we're talking about it because we just noticed that the amount of moisture coming from the Southern Hemisphere has tripled since we made that video. We were also the first channel to point out how every time our jet stream gets to the west coast, it folds back on itself or splits. What could cause a mass of moving air to split? And now there's so much moisture and there's so much heat and so much momentum in this jet stream that artificially created high pressure no longer can keep the jet stream out of California, as we are finding out the hard way. And although people may consider us fear-mongering, we're just reporting the truth. And if the truth isn't as pretty as you want it to be, 99% of mankind appreciates the truth. And these huge vortices are creating sub-vortices. And they come so far south that they take water from the Hawaiian belts. There used to be 2 Hawaiian belts of moisture. Now, the Pineapple Express is showing up a little bit. And see from the lower left, that's a huge body of moisture creeping further north. And look at that river of moisture west of Hawaii. That's moving more northward than usual. And these vortices are reaching down and grabbing moisture from the equator. The top of the screen, you see Greenland. Greenland has a huge vortex over it. It's so large that it extends over the top of Greenland and comes down to Africa. And with such with such a degree of low pressure, such a deep low pressure, these things are drawing moistures up now at more than one place along the equator, west of Hawaii, over the Philippines, Indonesia, even up by Japan. We start to see areas where moisture that came from the Southern Hemisphere is now being transported up as far north as Greenland. And look at the very top. See that huge spiral arm swinging through Japan? That whole system is so large it would cover the north of Alaska to Mexico. And we were, I can't say alarmed, but surprised to see this much moisture now coming from the Southern Hemisphere being transported up to the Northern Hemisphere. And that is just a testament to the strength of the low pressure vortices. Look at the river of moisture on the left. That's headed south. Moisture on the right, that band of moisture has been broken and is headed north. And the thunderstorms bursting over Brazil, headed north through the Caribbean up to Greenland. We were also the first channel to point out this libration of the moon having shifted more towards the 12 o'clock position. All simulations and all previous pictures of the moon depict its main crater at 2 o'clock wobbling. But now we rotate it 45 degrees, and we can see that this crater is at the 1 o'clock position as it arises. Now, many people will argue with this, but those of us who've been watching the moon have watched its shift, its orientation. And you knew it was coming before mainstream reported it because you watched our channel. And now they're reporting on the anomalous orbit of the moon, it being more elliptical, something that we told you was happening 2 years ago. It counts for why we have all the supermoons. But speaking of wobble, the wobble on the Earth, of course, we were condemned again, repeatedly by mainstream science, and then again vindicated by, half disclosures. We even told you how the wobbles were going to affect the plates, and we were the first channel to show you how the wobble created polar opposite quakes. That's where if you were to drill through Earth, through one epicenter, you would come out through a second epicenter on the other side of the planet. And then finally, they come out with an admission and a change in the wobble of Earth. But you knew it because you watched our channel. Another first we are proud of is the fact that we are the first YouTube channel to demonstrate, if not anybody, but first scientists to demonstrate that the sun was actually drawing in matter from the corona. We were the first channel to tell you about this matter as being mostly neutral helium. And when we showed you how it created new and bigger auroras in the corona of the sun, these cameras were recropped so you could see less and less of the corona. Maybe they've gone back to the original cropping, I don't know. But we showed you how electrons, the cloud was so thick that electrons traveling through the cloud were lighting up the cloud. We showed you how things were being rotated flat and looping back on themselves, meaning plasma sheets and plasma vortexes. And I am so proud we have made some of the best solar videos ever seen on YouTube, and we're going to put those in a collection for you, the best of, because many of you newcomers have not seen that artistry at work. Half the credit goes to Solar Maximum. But when you start seeing coronas in the sun and start filming what's going on way off the sun, it became obvious there were more particles. And we even proved it. We're the first channel to show you on the 1600 angstrom SDO cameras how the sparking in the corona has been increasing for years and now is coming in waves. We were the first channel to actually show that and prove that to you. And so if people disregard that there's reactions happen in the corona, we wanted just to show it on video. And so we go to the other side of the sun to prove it wasn't a local phenomenon on the sun or a regional phenomenon. These particles, these sparks were being created all around the sun. And then comes this video, which you have never seen. This is of sparking And we put it in black and white to help you see the sparking in the edges. And as the sun fluxes and swells and shrinks back down, one thing is pretty prevalent, is the sparking we're seeing in our own atmosphere now. But we're going to run down the day of this video and see if there's any cosmic ray storms that day. But how we like being the first to report things. And there's been so many firsts. We can't list them all. It's just next to impossible. We were the first to point out that extinctions did not involve just an impact, that they involved volcanism and gamma radiation. Almost every major extinction involved all three stressors. I ask you, how are all those three stressors doing today? The radiation, the fireballs, the asteroids, the comets, and the gamma radiation. And as all of this stuff that we have long not prophesized but predicted or projected, as all of these things start coming true, it should become more and more prevalent to you at home that we as mankind are going to be stressed, and that the way to prevent anarchy is for all of us to take personal accountability in our family's survival. Nobody knows how this is going to play out ultimately. A mega eruption may, in fact, block out the sun and protect us from the gamma radiation. But when we were the first to tell you the moon was elliptical, and then we find an article trying to figure out why the moon is elliptical, and in this article they actually try to do a planet X magnetism gravity influence on the moon's ellipticality. So it is with just the utmost gratitude that I have to let people know around me how much their help with the channel has meant to me, how much the support of many of our subs has meant to me. But when the main feature on the moon, the main crater on the moon, stops wobbling at 2 and 3 o'clock and starts wobbling at 12 and 1 o'clock, you know something's happening. And we theorized it was due to a large impact, knocked the moon over. And remember, we were the first channel to say that in February we were in a pocket where the filaments from the sun eject fast and without rotation. And again, every February we prove it over and over again. But you knew it because you watched our channel. And remember, we predicted an increase in a debris field. We were one of the first channels to admit that what we're seeing is a debris field from about January through spring. And even NASA has started to put out more and more articles about incoming objects, new objects being found. We were the first channel to show you how the normal background protons and electrons and helium have changed, and that we are now finding lithium in the cosmic rays. We were the first channel to show you and tell you that this thing may be have already grabbed onto our south pole, stabilized the wobble, but creating more motion in the north-south plane, thereby shifting the horizontal planes on the plates, the horizontal plates. And look what Antarctic plate did. That is unusual. We were the only channel on YouTube to tell you why there's a standing wave on Venus and what it was about. And it was too obvious because Venus does not have a magnetosphere. And so the ionized particles, that helium cloud that created all the geomagnetic storms, all the compression events, now Venus had to go through that. Okay, watch a surfer surf a standing wave in a river delta. We were the channel that put out a huge cosmic ray warning. I mean, a very fearful title. And then mainstream comes out with echoing some of the same concerns that we were warning you about, but you knew about them beforehand because you watched the channel. And with the increase in cosmic radiation comes exacerbation of symptoms, comes lots of geomagnetic storms. And when you put it all together, it spells brown dwarf. Spells brown dwarf coming out of Aquarius. And remember, we were the first channel to promote an aquarial alignment relationship to earthquakes and solar flares. We are the channel to tell you why the moon shines bright on a crescent night. They want to call it Earthshine? No, it's sunshine. We're the first channel to show you the magnificent increase in some of the solar radiation that's supposed to go down during solar minimums. The whole reason for the Maunder minimum was low sunspots and cold temperatures, low sunspots. But no, we showed you how for some reason many irradiance wavelengths are increasing no matter what the sunspots are doing. So it is with extreme gratitude that I conclude this video. We tried to update you on stuff that was pertinent today. We tried to remind you about some of the things we've forgotten. Again, thanks to Todd Marley for all of his music. Thanks to Karen for the use of her telescopes and other equipment. We thank her for her guidance in getting the channel run correctly in terms of getting it monetized. I'd like to thank many of the astronomers that have played devil's advocate because they strengthened our hypothesis. And we'd like to thank you, the viewer, who asks questions if you don't understand something, who are here to learn and to share information, not insults. When I see so many people discussing things like adults, it gives me hope. And it should give other people hope too. So until next time, until the next video, we're far from over. Be prepared, never scared.